2023, the unemployment rate was 3.4%. What is it right now? 4.2. So it's up underneath Trump. And so that's what I think people need to understand, is to look at what's going on. Look, do you actually feel better? Don't compare it to Trump's first term. Compare it to right now. Do you feel better than last year, or exactly the same?
People
or
saying
has
yes.
it gotten worse?
People saying yes.
No one's
they are
shopping.
better.
No, I don't believe that it's gotten better.
It's the inflation of it all, don't you think? Inflation is not nearly as bad as it was under Biden, and people see prices. I mean, they got mad at the tariffs because they saw the spike in a couple prices of goods, and they didn't want that. And then the tariffs got eased up on, and the situation looks better. They trust the GOP more. And maybe they think Trump is actually responsive to what their concerns are being expressed.
I think that the Democrats really need to work on their messaging. We've been saying that over and over again. It's just about what is the message for the next year, the next 2 years, and the next 4 years. Because I think that they're missing a core part of their audience that wants to know, okay, besides Trump not doing a great job, what are the new offerings you're bringing to the table? And so that's a critique that I'll always say about the Democratic Party, because there is a huge, wide open space to criticize Trump in every way, and everyone is doing that. But what are your solutions that will bring the economy down? Because we know that Trump went on the campaign trail and rallied off a bunch of solutions that he has not enacted that caused people to believe that he was really going to be the change that the economy and Americans are ready to see. And as we can see, nothing changed. Everyone feels pretty much the same as the last year or two. And so I think it's just really about marketing, and we know that President Trump is a marketing expert at this point.
I think it's just about marketing. I think people understand, I think they know it in their bones, that with Democrats in charge, you get a lot of big government spending policies, you get investigations into major companies, you get so-called consumer financial protection that is actually just about passing the cost of the penalty onto the customers themselves. Everything gets more expensive, regulations are more tightly enforced, it's impossible to build things, it's harder to start businesses. You just have a business unfriendly climate that trickles down to everything else. That hurts employment, that hurts innovation, it hurts wage growth, it hurts prices. That's what you get under Democratic governance. Joe Biden promised to be a different kind of Democrat from the what I would describe as radical left economic interventionism, and just be normal, business-friendly, moderate Democrat. That's what he ran on. That's not what the American people think they got at all. We're now wondering if that's because he was actually not totally cognitively there for the entirety of the presidency, and actually it was much more liberal and progressive-minded advisors making the policies over the course of the administration. Maybe it's not his fault. Doesn't really matter either way. That's the result, and people remember that, and so they're moving permanently into the Republican fold, which doesn't mean they like everything that Trump does or like everything that Republicans do. Tariffs are mostly a loser, although I think if you make an argument that we need to be mindful of China specifically and try to move some manufacturing away for national security adjacent reasons from China, you can make an argument for it, less so for tariffing like Penguin Island or whatever. I'm not saying there's no criticisms you can have of the Trump policies. I have lots of criticisms of them, but overall, if you put it to a vote, people seem to like it better than the alternative.
Well, I think when you think about everything that President Trump has done since he's been in office, when you think about what the Department of Government Efficiency has done, when you think about this upcoming big, beautiful bill that might cut a ton of people's Medicaid and just lower the taxes for rich people, I think that there are tons of Americans that are going to feel even worse if everything that he wants to do is enacted.
Because Americans like higher taxes?
No, Americans like lower taxes for all, but they're not going to affect all.
Lower taxes for all?
They're not going to affect all. And we know the trickle-down theory has been disproven multiple times that it doesn't exactly work. Yeah, well, I'd say that. And so I just think that we need to make sure that we're looking at history and allowing it to tell us what actually happens is, you know, the economy doesn't boom when only rich people get tax breaks.
Not only rich
especially
people,
when
everybody.
you do it on the back of people losing Medicaid, because what happens if you can't afford health bills, if you can't afford any of that stuff, how can you come out of a bad situation that many Americans are in right now?
Low-income Americans people don't pay significant tax. I mean, the tax
No, but they would now have to pay all their medical
top,
bills because they've disqualified out of Medicaid due to this big, beautiful bill. So then what happens to somebody who was decently making it and then all of a sudden loses all their health insurance? Well, now you have $0, and now you are bankrupt because you're paying for all your medical bills when the government agreed for years and decades to step in and help you with that when you're going through a hard time.
We can't just confiscate more money from wealthy, productive people and transfer it to low-income people and solve all our problems. That's not going to work. We can't just like suck more money out of rich people and fix all the problems.
Well, sometimes businesses pay very low taxes, less than human beings.
I hope they pay zero taxes.
And so that's why, you know, we can actually have businesses pay their fair share. I think that that's a fair argument, especially if the average American is paying a lot of their paycheck. Why can't huge businesses pay a decent amount that goes back into making our country comfortable for everyone?
I think what makes the country comfortable is having businesses thrive, and if you confiscate more of their products, people don't even want to start businesses if that's going to be the case.
It's a different mindset about thinking about the collective rather than just thinking about self. You know, the collective does better when we all give people an equal opportunity, a fair shake.
Borg-like thinking. Very, I do not like the collective. Up next, Steve Bannon says that he wants Lindsey Graham thrown in jail. Let's find out why. MAGA firebrand Steve Bannon says that he wants Senator Lindsey Graham, a Republican, in jail.
News Nation's Chris Cuomo and Bannon were discussing Graham's recent visit to Ukraine with Senator Richard Blumenthal. Ukraine launched a massive attack on Russia this week, destroying 40 aircraft after the two senators' visit.
Bannon accused Graham of stirring the pot in Ukraine. Let's watch.
Two things ought to happen. Either cancel his passport and don't let him back in the country, or put him in jail if he comes back. Lindsey Graham is stirring it up right now. And people better wake up to the fact that we're getting sucked into this war. And if we get sucked in much more, it's going to be tough.
I'm just saying you can't be throwing people in jail because you don't like what they say. That's my only point. I'm not saying that you're wrong about where this might lead and how dangerous it is. And that's why I wanted you on to discuss it.
Russia had launched its largest drone attack of the war before Ukraine's most recent strike. Representatives from both sides met for another round of peace talks, and they did agree to swap dead and injured troops, but not much else. Now multiple outlets are reporting that Russia launched an attack on civilians that killed 3 and injured 20.
Senator Blumenthal wrote on X, quote, Putin is intensifying his reign of terror through bombing civilians, kidnapping children, and mobilizing troops, despite Ukraine's astonishingly effective drone attack on 5 Russian bases. Ukraine shows amazing guts, ingenuity, daring, and bold drone attacks across Russia. Putin has underestimated Ukrainian resolve and ability from the beginning. So have many of our own leaders.
Well, look, I don't think Lindsey Graham should be in jail. That's
for saying his thoughts. Yeah.
Well, it's not just for saying his thoughts. He's a important leader of our country. He's a prominent senator. he's not a private citizen just expressing his views. He is there as part of the alliance with Ukraine, and he is someone who is constantly advocating for, not just advocating as a private citizen, but as a member of the government, for greater military intervention all across the world. He wants World War III with Iran. He wants to give Ukraine everything they want to continue this war with Russia. That is not where the rest of the GOP is. Frankly, I don't think it's where most of the